Hello, YouTube. It's Ryan here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we are doing another book review. Today we are going to be reviewing Tower Climber by Jacob Tanner, and it's actually quite good. I did really enjoy this. So let's jump into the rest of the information and I'll do the review. So this is self-published by Jacob Tanner. He does it on Amazon, and I think you can get his book on Kindle Unlimited, or you can buy it physically. And there's also an audiobook. Now, I don't exactly remember the prices for both of those, but I'll leave the link to his book down in the description, so please do check it out and support him. The book is really good. So, the genres here are, well, the overall genre is fantasy and lit RPG, right? And within lit RPG and like lit RPG adjacent things, this is definitely a game lit story, because game lit is like the umbrella term for all the different types of lit RPG type of things. And this also features elements of progression fantasy, which is a Eastern style fantasy that is very similar to lit RPG, but it focuses more on like cultivation, which is this process through which like martial artists will kind of like harness nature energy and use this nature energy to bolster their bodies, get better at their martial arts, and then ascend to higher planes. And it's like essentially the same idea as leveling up in a lit RPG story, but like in a different way, right? I have actually read something like this before. If I remember correctly, it was Dungeonborn, which is by my buddy TJ Reynolds. But yeah, so it also has elements of tower climbing fantasy, which is very similar to like dungeon exploring type of books, but instead of a dungeon, it's like a tower. So there you go. Now, the premise here is that this random tower popped up in the middle of this city once in the U.S., and people started to congregate around it, and stuff happened, and then they realized that certain people would be able to unlock these things called profiles, which allow them to essentially have game element stuff attached to them, right? And our main character is this kid that is bound to a wheelchair that wants to get into the tower because he's looking for his sister that supposedly died during a car crash when he was a young kid. Obviously, she contacted him later, and so she's not dead, and so he wants to get into the tower so he can find her. And basically what happens is he gets there through a very convoluted process that was actually kind of concerning. I was like, oh, that's crazy. It was like pretty interesting. But like he gets there, and then what ensues is the start of his journey, which includes magic school, which is actually Tower Climbing Academy or Climber Academy. And it turns out that there's a lot of political shenanigans happening behind the scenes, and he gets, riled up in them. So very, very cool story. Very enjoyable. If you enjoy manga and anime, or have been a fan of manga and anime for any number of years, you're going to see a lot of stuff that feels very similar. In fact, if you watch things like Neon Genesis Evangelion, Naruto, and I don't know, whatever magic school anime you want, you're probably going to find things that you find similar. And if you enjoy those things, you'll enjoy this book for sure. So yeah. Now, the plotline here is good. It's super solid. I enjoy it so much. The way that Jacob Tanner is able to write is very, very good, because it's super straightforward. It's not worried about embellishing anything and making it sound cooler than it has to be, because the premise is already cool. You don't have to try to make things sound even better, because it's already fun and enjoyable and interesting and, super cool, right? So I really enjoy that his writing style is super simplistic, super easy to understand, and it's built for it to be enjoyable through the story, not like enjoyable through the sound that the text makes, which is, basically me saying that it's not flowery at all. The language is not flowery at all. And it's immensely enjoyable. It's like all of the different things that I enjoy in manga and anime and like light novels put into a Western style story that is, essentially coded as a YA story and it's so fun. It's super enjoyable. If you enjoy YA literature and if you enjoy manga and anime, you're going to enjoy this. And I really like that it's super goal oriented because, you know, a lot of stories have this thing where like they just like never tell you what the goal of the story is. And I really hate that because it's so annoying. It's like, dude, I want to know why the character is doing these things. If I don't know that, I'm not going to enjoy the story. And I really like that, you know, Jacob Tanner tells us, you know, this character wants to find his sister. In order to find his sister, he has to do this, this, and this, and then set out on a journey. And then, you know, what does the character do? He goes through this, this, and this, and then stuff happens around it that allows him to veer off the goal-oriented course that he set so he can have more stuff and build the world up. And I really, really like that. Jacob Tanner did a great job here. So let's actually talk about the key elements, the key points of the story here. And I'll talk about which one kind of felt like what thing in what anime that I was talking about earlier. So the introduction here is very solid. It's a very kind of like, I don't know why, but it reminds me of like the scenes that always start, you know, Spider-Man movies. It's always like Peter Parker getting bullied because, you know, Flash that wants to beat him up for whatever stupid reason. It reminded me of that, and I really like that because it immediately sets up the main character being a loser. And in fact, it's really shit, and it like makes you feel super bad because they're beating up a kid in a wheelchair. I'm like, damn, dude, that's fucking tough, man. Like, that sucks. And the introduction, you know, rolls into other things and explains like the background of the main character. And then, you know, bam, we get into the tower. And then at the tower, we start with a battle. And we learn that, you know, our main character has the abilities that he needs in order to get to the tower. But, you know, secret political stuff, right? Which I liked a lot. And then we start getting the character ready to get into the academy through a series of training montages where we get a lot of exposition and a lot about how the world works. Again, this was really well done. Then we have a test that was like not supposed to happen, but had to happen because of more political machinations. And then we get into magic school or Climber Academy. And we go through the first semester. Now, so far, nothing feels like anime just yet. I mean, there's a few elements here and there that you're like, oh, that's kind of like similar to Danmachi. Oh, that's kind of similar to Naruto. Oh, that's kind of similar to this and that, right? But nothing super serious except for the secondary female character that is introduced when he gets into the tower, which is Sakura Sato. She, I'll talk about her in the character section, but she's pretty fun. Now, next we get to the Climber Academy, like I was saying. And at the Climber Academy, we get this whole very clear, like Harry Potter-esque situation where our main character has to deal with these, you know, racist kids basically that deal with people that like don't like people that have only just started to acquire magic powers or traits, right? And they call them fake veins. And we deal with this whole kind of like pure blood versus half blood versus mud blood thing that happened in Harry Potter and that happens in quite a few light novels like Reign of the Seven Spellblades. And then we deal with, you know, the whole like training montage that happens at school and a bunch of different tests. And we get to see our main character's ingenuity, which I really enjoyed. Then there's a lot of political stuff. We get some cool plot twist in the world building. And then the big final battle, which I thought was super great. I really did enjoy it. And it's super cool. Like in general, it's just super amazing. It's super interesting. I really enjoy how everything was done. However, like it's amazing and it's awesome and all of this, but there's nothing that really felt all that original. I mean, the main character's special ability was pretty cool, and I really enjoyed it because it's super situational and it makes it so the character has to do it intelligently. He can't just win through being overpowered like in a lot of shonen. He just he like has to work with his mind in order to fix things, and it's really cool. But again, the plotline is super fun and super enjoyable, but it never feels like it went anywhere new. And that's really my only complaint with this story. Like, everything about it is great. It just feels very similar to other things that I've already read. And that doesn't really bother me. That's not really a complaint, in my opinion. It's just kind of like, yeah, this is just for enjoyment. But yeah, overall, very fun. Okay, and then let's talk about the characters. So, I think they're all pretty good. They're enjoyable. Some of them do feel kind of tropey, but, like, not in any, like, specific way. Like, they don't feel like other characters. Well, except for one of them. But, like, in general, it's just like very clear that they're supposed to fit into a specific role, and they do that role really well. So our main character Max is a zero to hero, very similar to, I don't know, the whole kind of idea that we had in Hercules, like the Disney movie, where he's like this lanky kid, and then he has to go through a bunch of training, a bunch of activities, and beating different monsters in order to become this powerful man. It's like, it was good. I really enjoyed it. I also like that his, like I said earlier, his ability, his special trait, which is called Mimic, allows him to, you know, use other people's traits, but it's super situational because if he gets hit, he gets a new trait. So it's very, very cool. I really did enjoy it. It's super interesting because it makes everything have to do with his ability to think, not his ability to, you know, punch people harder than they punch him. Like that a lot. It's super great. I really just enjoyed it so much. Now, our main female character is Casey, and she's basically the girl next door with a chip on her shoulder. And, like, she's kind of like, but she's also kind of like the girl doesn't like studying and doesn't like enjoy school. She also has the pet. She also is like the comic relief character. Like she's a whole bunch of different character traits in this like nice package that I really enjoy because it's necessary, and it makes sense that he did it like this, that Jacob Tanner wrote her like this, because there's only like 3 or 4 characters in the story that are like near Max, so it makes sense that the character that is near him the most is going to have all of these different roles. And I really enjoy her. She's really funny. I would really enjoy watching this like as a TV show. I think it'd be really fun because her character would just be really enjoyable to listen to. But I really like her. I really enjoy the way she changes up her skill and it essentially becomes very cool. I don't really want to spoil it though, so I won't talk about it. But basically, she reminds me of a character from Naruto. And if you've watched that and read this, you'll know what character from Naruto I'm talking about because it's very clear. But it's actually not just a thing in Naruto. I think there's a character like that in Fairy Tail as well. So, you know, it's just a lot of different anime things that seem to make it into the main characters in this story. Now, my favorite character here is Sakura Sato. I think that's her name. And mostly because she reminds me of Misato from Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's like that whole like badass main character woman that is like super on top of everything. But then you like see her in her own home and you're like, oh my god, why is this person so shit? Because she's like a horrible slob and she's like ridiculous. But, you know, she still cares about the main character, Max, who is in the position that Shinji was with Misato. And, you know, they live together and they're like slightly like a family. And there's a lot of stuff here that is very similar to Misato from Neon Genesis Evangelion. And I really enjoyed it because it's so fun. And I also like Sakura as a character because she's very interesting. I really enjoy every time she's on the screen, basically, in like metaphorical terms. Every time I read a page with her, I'm quite happy because I really enjoy her character, and because it shows us that, you know, this world is super, you know, full of these weird like racist people that don't like people that don't have traits for generations and stuff like that. But you know, normal people can still make it in this, you know, world and stuff like that. So I really enjoy her as a character that shows that the goals our main characters are wanting to achieve are achievable. It just takes a lot of hard work and determination. So I really enjoy her in that sense. And then there's Samuel Archer, which is the bad guy is bad kind of character. And he reminds me of like Lucius Malfoy from Harry Potter, or like Rogue from Fairy Tail, but only like the older Rogue from 7 years in the future after the Grand Magic Games during the Dragon God Festival thing, right? Really enjoyable, really like enjoy hating him because he's so easy to dislike, but like he's also really badass. So it's like, I don't know, I just like him. It's a fun character. And then there's Sybil and Cyrus, which are the Draco Malfoy and Pansy Parkinson of this story. So there you go. The characters here are all solid. I really enjoy them. There's a few other characters that show up here and there, but like, I don't even think they have names. So like, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, overall, enjoy the characters so much. I really enjoy all of the different ways and like all of the different places where Jacob Tanner got inspiration from, because it's clear to see, but there's still like an element of like he made them himself and these are his characters. They're just like similar to other ones, which I quite like. Now, world building wise, I think it's solid. Everything is really well explained. I really enjoy how the explanation and exposition happens through conversation. That's always my favorite type of exposition, because it doesn't feel like you're reading a textbook, because you're watching people talk about these things. And it was obviously facilitated by the fact that our main character is not like a person that is like from this world, essentially. It's not an isekai, but like he lived on the outer rim, which is outside of the tower zone, and then he had to go into the tower zone. And so essentially he has no idea what happens in the tower zone. And he has to ask a bunch of questions to learn, right? And so the exposition is very clearly done and very nicely worked into conversations, and I really like that. Of course, some conversations did go a little bit long, and I think they would have been better if like we got like the conversation covering the 2 or 3 key points, and then everything else was summarized by Max in his point of view later. But like it doesn't really make that much of a difference. I really just enjoyed the fact that exposition was happening well, and it was happening in a way that didn't feel like you were reading a textbook. So I always like that. That was really good, really well done by Jacob Tanner. I also love the twist that happened about like 60% into the book. 60 to 70% into the book, because it like really changes how you view this world. Because like I'm not going to talk about it because I think it's super interesting, and it's something that like will shock you, but is really enjoyable because it changes everything up, right? But I liked it so much, and it was also something that like felt like it came out of nowhere, and so that was a fun twist that really like was exciting. So I like that. But yeah, overall, the world building, like, I'll explain a little bit about the power system. Basically, there's 4 attributes. Every attribute has to be leveled up, and the best attribute to level up is always mana manipulation, because that one is the one that allows you to do everything else. And so, mana manipulation is also the hardest one to upgrade. So, our main character has to do a lot of training. And like a lot of different like game stuff. He has to grind a lot. It's very similar to Shield Hero or solo leveling or whatever other lit RPG style manga and anime that you've ever watched or read. And yeah. But yeah, now the rating here, I think it's a solid 4 out of 5. Like I said earlier, I really enjoyed it and I loved it so much. But because there's nothing here that really feels super original, like super unique, I don't really think that it deserves a 5, just because to me, it's like 5s are special, right? And it's like the top notch, the best book I've read in a while. Something that is not derivative, but like something that is very clearly inspired by a lot of other things isn't gonna like it's not gonna impact me in the same way. Not even with that super cool plot twist, 60% into the book. Did I really feel like this was a super top-notch, super unique, crazy, blow me out of the water type of book? So that's why I think a 4 out of 5 is good. I just really enjoyed it. It was super good. If you like, Naruto, if you like, when I say Naruto, I literally mean the Genin examination arc, like the thing where they go into the forest and the thing where they, have the little short like battles and stuff. Like that sort of thing is very similar to some of the training that they go through in the Tower Climbing Academy. So, yeah, like there's a lot of good stuff here all over the place, but it all feels very similar to other stuff that I've seen before. And that's why I think a 4 out of 5 is good, because it shows that, I really enjoyed it, but there was really nothing there that was so unique that it really blew me away, right? So there you go. That was a really long-winded explanation, but let's leave it at that, right? Now, I definitely recommend this title. I think it's very fun. And if you enjoy manga and anime and, YA literature like Harry Potter, you're going to definitely enjoy this. So check it out. I really do. Please support the author. He was super nice. And I really hope that other people check it out, because it's very fun. Similar titles, though, I think there's a few that I can think of. Like, obviously, I mentioned quite a few. but they only have specific scenes or specific situations that are similar to this. If I'm talking broader in terms of lit RPG type of stuff and stuff that deals with cultivation and different ideas in sort of like this genre, I would say something like Five Trials, which I reviewed, or Dragonborn by TJ Reynolds, or Danmachi, maybe Solo Leveling, you know, those type of slightly more serious, well, Danmachi isn't really that serious, but like slightly more serious types of video game stories, right? Well, Dragonborn and Five Trials aren't exactly video game style stories, but they definitely have an element of game lit there, and they have that progression fantasy and cultivation fantasy type of setup there. So yeah, check it out. But yeah, I think that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Don't forget to check out the author's Twitter and Amazon page. I'm going to leave it down in the description. And of course, make sure to check out his work and, let him know I sent you, basically. And yeah, I appreciate everyone that watches these videos. Thank you guys so much. It's just like, it really means a lot to me. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you guys later.